Roll call. At-large Cummins.
Here.
At-large Poshton.
Here.
Ward 1 Welker.
Here.
Ward 2 Helm.
Here.
Ward 3 Johnston.
Here.
Okay. Pledge of allegiance.
Now you're good now.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Next item is approval of the agenda. Any additions to the agenda, changes to the agenda needed?
Second.
Motion by Cummins, seconded by Poshton.
Cummins? Welker?
Yes.
Helm?
Yes.
Johnston?
Yes.
All right. Next is the communications portion of the meeting. If there's anybody who wishes to address the council. Larry? I always look at you first.
Yeah. I don't know why. Just briefly, you probably all kind of know about the tree planting coming up this Thursday in town. Cities through Steve Nash and a grant through the DNR got 50 trees to plant. Students are coming over to the First United Church about 8:30 to 9 in the morning on Thursday. You're certainly all invited to come if you have a minute and wanted to come and partake, and the community's invited to come. I did ask Lisa to kind of help with traffic control on getting the students from one side of town to the other because of the construction and not having a stoplight. So that's going to happen, but we're going to try to put 50 trees in the ground on Thursday. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Larry. All right. We will move on then to the proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Would you like to say something? Yeah, go ahead.
I got some materials I'd like to share.
We just state your name too for the council meeting minutes.
I'm Christy Fort-Mendoza. I'm the Executive Director for the Domestic Violence Intervention Program. So I'm just going to hand these over and pass them around. There's two different brochures. I want to thank you all for the opportunity to come for a few minutes. I think that I've been here a few times. There's a few faces here that I've seen a few times. I will tell you that Cedar County is a county that is very dear to me. My partner's family is from Cedar County, and so it's been an important part of my life for several decades now. And to know the impact that we're having in Cedar County, and specifically in Tipton, means a lot to us. Domestic violence as an issue is critical, it is lethal, and it is significant. Last year here in Cedar County, we served 152 adults, which means we probably served about 300 people in total, because generally it's about a half and half split for adults and kids. So about 300 individuals in Cedar County. Specifically, adults in Tipton was 73. And what I'd like you to know is that every one of those services is supported by Cedar County. We have been very, very fortunate and truly, truly appreciate the both financial, in-kind, and volunteer support that we've gotten to provide crisis intervention services for victims, survivors of domestic violence. One of the things I want to point out, you might notice a slightly new logo for us. On October 1, we did add the Rape Victim Advocacy Program to our services. And so in addition to domestic violence services, we also provide sexual assault services in the 8-county service area that we work, including Cedar County. At this point, what I'd really like to do more than anything is open it up for questions. If you have any, you guys know us pretty well. We've been here for about 40 years, so you know us pretty well. Any questions that you all have? What I will say is that as we continue to do support and provide services in your county, one of the things that I would like to say is that we rely heavily on our partners, both businesses and community organizations and churches, to be able to do what we do here in Cedar County and specifically in Tipton. And so I just want to say thank you to those partners. and that you know that victim survivors are supported in your community. Thank you.
So RVAP is not its own entity anymore? You guys are together?
We're together. They were actually part of the University of Iowa, and the missions of the two organizations had changed significantly over the years. And so we have been talking about separation from the university for some time. And there was an opportunity this year for them to come to DVIP, and that's what we did. So,
I used to volunteer for them, that's why I asked, so I was just curious.
well, me too. When did you do that?
Oh, many years ago.
Yes. They were actually where I first started doing this work. I volunteered with them when I was in college back in the 80s. And that's how I came to do this work. And so they're an organization that's been near and dear to my heart forever, so.
Yeah, I was going to ask that same question because I volunteered for RBAP in the 90s.
That's awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, so that is the university program that's now
That's now
separated.
under
Yeah.
DVIP.
Okay, interesting. Didn't realize they had actually formally done that.
Yeah, they've actually talked about it on and off for the last probably 10 to 12 years.
Mhm.
And what we learned in some of the research and some of the surveys that we were doing throughout the 8 counties was that so many of the counties we serve had no idea that RVAP, I mean, they saw the university.
Yeah.
And they never saw it as their community's program. So it was an opportunity to really center it back in communities.
Yeah.
So.
Great.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions before I read the proclamation? No? Okay, so I will read the proclamation for Domestic Violence Awareness Month for October of 2024. Whereas domestic abuse, dating abuse, and stalking affects women, children, and men of all racial, cultural, and economic backgrounds, causing long-term physical, psychological, and emotional harm. And whereas 1 in 3 Americans has witnessed an incident of domestic violence, and whereas children who experience domestic abuse are at a higher risk for failure in school, mental illness, substance abuse, suicide, and may choose violence as a way to solve their problems later in life. And whereas domestic abuse in rural communities exists as a hidden, silent, and often unrecognized crime that is often underreported, and whereas through the inspiration, courage, and persistence of victims of domestic abuse, their children, and advocates, our communities are learning to recognize the impact of violence in the home and within intimate relationships. And whereas DVIP, RVAP, has worked to end violence and abuse in intimate relationships for more than 45 years through the collaborative partnerships of advocates, volunteers, local municipalities, criminal justice, health and human services, faith communities, business leaders, and private citizens. And whereas our community's achievements should be commended, and we must continue our commitment to respect and support victims of domestic abuse and to prevent future violence in our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the city of Tipton in Cedar County, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2024 to be Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the city of Tipton of Cedar County, and urge all people to work together to eliminate domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking from our community. Signed the 7th day of October 2024. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will then move on to the consent agenda. These are routine items that will be enacted by one motion without separate discussion unless a council member requests separate consideration. Approval of the council meeting minutes of September 23, 2024. Approval of the cemetery minutes, September 26, 2024. Approval of blocking off the intersection of the 100 block of East 9th Street and Meridian Street during trick-or-treating on Thursday, October 31st, at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Approval of the liquor license renewal for Dollar General. Approval of the Tipton Revitalization Incentive Program for Bobby Kaufman at 1305 Cedar Street. Approval of the undated engagement letter to reflect single audit work. Approval of 3 spools underground primary wire. Approval of 1 additional spool of underground primary wire. Approval of the appointment of Mark Nissen to the Board of Adjustments Committee. Approval of Caitlin Boyle to the Board of Adjustment Committee. And approval of the claims register, which includes claims paid under the current purchase policy. Any of those items need to be pulled out for discussion or question?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, motion by Welker, seconded by Cummins.
Postured,
Yes.
Welker,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Cummins.
All right, moving on to city business. The first item is discussion and possible action concerning the 5th Street, Meridian Street intersection, which is connected with the Highway 38 projects. And Andy, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Great.
Floor.
Good evening. So I believe it was at the last council meeting, I had brought up an issue. I was given a general project update and brought up a relatively new topic at that time. That was the 5th Street storm sewer and what was going on with that. So we had identified at that time that there was an electric conduit, pretty significant electric conduit. If John's there, maybe he can comment on the significance of that if he would like. That was in conflict with the new proposed storm sewer alignment and elevation. And so I'm here to report back on what's the current status of that issue. So anyway, and then in addition to that, as we were, sorry, was somebody else trying to talk? I'm catching a little bit of feedback.
No, you're okay.
Okay, sorry about that. In addition to the electric conduit conflict, as we were doing some investigative work, trying to identify what we could do about that, we did also determine that storm sewer on 5th Street was too high to actually serve the storm sewer system further to the north that it was intended to serve. And so, kind of as a brief reminder, this is a new storm sewer on 5th Street that it's extending from Cedar Street over to Meridian. And the point of this storm sewer, we upsized the storm sewer significantly on Cedar Street, and then we're extending this new storm sewer over to the Meridian Street intersection in order to make an effort to cut off what I call kind of the top end of a storm sewer system that's separate from currently is separate from Cedar Street, extends to the east, eventually crosses under East Street and daylights or becomes surface flow east of East Street. I understand from speaking to Steve Nash and others that system has capacity issues. There's flooding during larger rain events on that east side of town. And so by cutting off the top end, roughly 20 or 25% of the drainage area now, instead of heading east along 5th Street, will enter the storm sewer system and go south on Cedar Street in the new upsized system. So hopefully, and then thereby reducing some of these flooding and drainage issues that the folks east of Meridian Street have historically had. So in order to do that, the storm sewer does need to be made deeper than what we had originally planned. There was a structure in that intersection that we were unable to access when we were doing our survey of the area, leading into design. It had a lid that was paved over with asphalt. We were unable to get in there. We did make some assumptions based on other structures in the area. Unfortunately, those assumptions proved to be incorrect, and the storm sewer was planned to be too shallow to serve what actually exists in that intersection. So part of this is a redesign to address that and actually achieve the purpose of this new storm sewer system to help with the drainage issues. And then, so as we're digging into all this in the last week or two, we're realizing that the configuration of the storm sewer at the Meridian and 5th Street intersection really is not standard. There's a lot of buried connections between pipes. It's hard to maintain. We really had to do a whole lot of digging around, literally physically digging, camera work, sticking cameras up pipes, trying to figure out where they're going. We identified that there's actually a buried brick structure that you cannot access from the surface by doing this camera work. And so really that intersection is a rat's nest that we can also take the opportunity to clean up, replace some of these pipes, make sure that all the pipes do begin and terminate in a structure for future maintenance purposes as well. So with that, the solution is to propose solution that we'd like to get some direction on, I guess, tonight, is to remove and relay about 190 feet of that storm sewer that's currently been laid on 5th Street. And by doing that, we can take it into a new manhole structure on the north side of the Meridian and 5th Street intersection and actually take on the storm sewer that we're intending to take on. Additionally, like I mentioned, that intersection's kind of a mess, so you could take the opportunity to replace a couple of intakes that are on the west side of that intersection to really clean things up for the Public Works Department. We would remove that buried brick structure. We would get rid of all these underground pipe connections that really can't be maintained at this time with this solution. The electric department has already started to take the steps to lower that conduit that was in conflict, so that would no longer be an issue. And this intersection would really be cleaned up in terms of storm sewer. Now, I'm sure the $1 million question is, what's this going to cost? In terms of the project, we currently estimate that this would add about $55,000 to $57,000 worth of costs to the project. Some of that, and that's the full improvements that are being proposed here. The intakes, cleaning up the intakes wouldn't necessarily have to be done, but it would be our recommendation that, that pavement's going to be removed. They've got equipment there, you've got a contractor there. If you anticipate having to address these intakes anytime in the near future, now is really the time to get it done. So some of that, roughly $7,000 worth of that cost could be, taken off the table for those intakes. But really, talking with Steve and other folks, I think now's the time to do it if you think you're going to have to do it anytime in the near future. Some of the other major items of work that add into that cost are the pavement removal and replacement, eliminating that buried brick structure, and then of course the removal and relaying of the storm sewer that's currently there. In terms of schedule, the Triple B, the contractor on the Cedar Street project, would be able to move into this work as soon as tomorrow if given direction to do so. With that, I'll open it up to any questions that folks might have.
How much is the cost of the digging up and redoing the sewer?
That comes to just over $9,000 of that $55,000 to $57,000 of work being proposed.
I don't know if I'm the only one, but I feel like that's kind of not our cost to incur. I mean, we paid to have it laid once. Am I the only one thinking this? Maybe I'm speaking out of hand, but I know if I make a mistake at work and it's X amount of dollars, I'm paying for that, not the customer.
Right. I'll be honest, I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, I get it. I don't have an answer, but I get it.
I'm just,
I don't want to slow the project up.
I don't either, but I don't want to.
It's a good point, though.
Andy, do you have a response?
Yeah, so I think I missed some of the discussion there, but the thought is, why should the city pay for relaying the pipe? Is that correct? Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I should mention that, we've identified clearly, Origin has some responsibility here. The contractor has also stepped up and taken a little bit of responsibility. They're doing something, for example, I didn't mention, but the water service to the courthouse did have to be adjusted the first time installing the storm sewer through there. It's a relatively large service. I think it's a 4-inch service rather than, a standard 1 or 2 inch residential service. That will also have to be readjusted again to accommodate the lower storm sewer. The contractor is stepping up and offered to take on that work as part of their responsibility. Similarly, where I'm going with this is from Origin's standpoint, we're tracking any time we spend on this part of the project, redoing any storm sewer design in this intersection or along 5th Street, tracking that separately. And the city certainly will not be billed for that time. That's our expense, of course. As far as actually relaying the storm sewer, I guess I don't know if
Is that
You know,
a
I
cost
could
that-
talk to the folks at our company and see what the thought there would be. You know, there are certainly unforeseen conditions that, you know, non-standard configurations of storm sewer and buried structures and things like that in the intersection that are pretty tough to plan for. Hard to design things like that you can't see. But I do understand where you're coming from. It's certainly a
But
good question.
I represent the citizens, so I guess I kind of needed an answer, because I know I'll be questioned about why we're spending an extra amount of money that we now just have to. I mean, yeah, I don't want to slow that project down anymore. Granted, the bank's gonna be closed here end of the week, but, yeah.
So is that something that we can approve, yet go back to finding out why this cost is ours and if that cost
Yeah.
should be split elsewhere?
Yeah, I would say go ahead with the proposal. This isn't the actual change order. They're just
Right.
getting on going forward, and I think everybody
Okay.
really wants to.
Yeah, and we need it to be right.
Even if we don't have to.
But I think in the meantime, you know, you can't answer for the people who are up the chain at your company,
No,
but we need something from them, I think, probably in writing that addresses that as to the question here. Is it, I mean, are they thinking that it's the cities? Are they thinking it's ultimately theirs? I think we need to know what their position is and why.
Okay.
I'm not trying to figure at anybody, I'm just trying to figure out,
What should it say?
like I said, I know I'm gonna be questioned about it.
Yeah.
So I,
Well, that's a reasonable question.
What should the city have to take all the burden for this problem?
Yeah, no, I think it's a reasonable question.
Two thoughts come to mind. Thanks, Brian. I should have mentioned, yes, this is just a general, do we want to continue with this general solution, or do we want to look in other directions? Formal change order will, because this is, I look at this similar to the downspout drains that were identified earlier in the project this year. You know, we came to council with the general solution, got, you know, direction to move ahead on that, and then came back with the formal change order. So this would be a very similar process.
I'll make a motion.
Just want to point that out.
To keep
Keep the project
the
going.
project going, yes. And
I'll
I'll
second
come back to what Brian had said.
Okay, so motion to approve the project to continue as necessary with future discussion of cost prior to the change
Do we
order.
have
Liability.
it's not gonna, I guess, make a difference, but do we have a timeline?
They're gonna start tomorrow.
They were gonna be able to.
Yeah, but the question, Andy, is there a timeline?
Like how long will it
For when this
How long
work
will
would be.
Yeah.
I have not got an exact timeline from the contractor. I would think it would take, they've got to build several, at least one cast in place structure, relay that 190 feet of pipe, and then finish out the rest of the piping. I'm just thinking right now, this would be about a 2-week effort, 2 to 2.5 weeks maybe, to get everything done, and then get back in there and get things buttoned up to get traffic restored.
Because we have to keep the business informed as well.
Yes.
So.
Before
Good question.
Before the council votes, I wanted to just mention one thing in what Andy said, and that was possibly reducing the amount of stormwater by 20 to 25% going east like it does now. Our longer-term council members will remember that we've had people come to us about the drainage way behind the homes on East 6th and then going onto East Street. If this could reduce stormwater flow, and I know Andy's just estimating, but by 20 to 25%, maybe better, that would be a good improvement.
I'm all for the project going forward, just a matter of our liabilities.
Yeah.
I've already done it once.
Okay, so do I need to repeat the motion? So the motion would be to approve the project to continue as necessary with then future discussion on cost prior to change order approval. So who's making the motion?
I made the motion.
You made the motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, so motion by Poston, seconded by Helm.
Welker,
Yes.
Helm,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Poston.
Yes.
Okay, moving on to city business number 2, item number 2, discussion and possible action concerning painting and the indoor pool ceiling. Sorry, thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Long time no see. Any questions on the quote that we received from
The
Ford?
right paint this time?
Huh?
The right paint this time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, right paint this time, yes. Yeah, they've been great working with them, blasting. I'm not sure if you guys had a chance. I have a video if I'll probably send it to you.
I'll stop
After
by.
they got done blasting. Now what it looks like now, they cleaned it. There was a guy up there Friday cleaning up around all the lights. I mean, every single crevice they've done a great job, so. Yeah.
So what does this mean about the uncoated steel that can't be properly painted?
Well, I wanted to, and Brian and I talked about like it was going to be a warranty. So I emailed him and his email response was, when Sherman was there looking at all the welds and everything that support the unit, that wasn't treated prior to putting up there. So he will do his best he can to get every little nick and cranny, but he said he will only warranty the 1 year for the, whatever it was. Adhesion of the existing coating, yes, we have a 1 year warranty on that, but the new steel portion, he wouldn't. Because usually, I guess, when they put it up there, usually they coat it before they weld everything and then they paint over top of it. It wasn't treated before, it was just the exposed steel when they put it up there.
It wasn't primed.
So, I mean, does that mean that it's gonna
I don't-
be painted again? I mean, what is that?
That I
gonna
don't
be?
know, I'm not gonna lie to you.
And it's
I
not
have no
something
idea.
we can
We can't control,
coat
we
and-
can't, yeah.
prime now.
So he's gonna go up there and treat as best he possibly can, every nick and cranny he possibly can. But he said,
So is he gonna hand prime before he paints it? Is that what they're doing?
they're gonna go up
Around the
there,
welds.
just Around all the welds
Yeah.
as much as they possibly can, and then,
I mean, that's typically what they do,
yes,
because
Yeah.
if you weld what's primed, it's gonna melt off.
yes, yeah. So if it's powder coated, like you said, powder coated first, and they weld it, and then they paint over top of it, it's usually pretty sealed. But since it's exposed steel and they just weld it on there, they're gonna try to treat it as the best they can. So, and Ryan from Corridor was straight up honest with me when he was saying, hey, we'll do the best we possibly can, we'll do as much as we possibly can, but there's some stuff that we can only spray so much inside stuff that they can do as much as they possibly can, so.
So what kind of timeline are we at right now with this,
That
the
I'm talking
facility
to,
in general?
I'm calling Ryan right after, hopefully this is approved, I'm calling him right after I leave this facility to talk to him on how long the paint process will be. They were there all day today, prepping, putting plastic everywhere they possibly could, because they're hoping to paint as soon as possible. Now, I talked to Brian and Melissa. Mike from Garland called me this afternoon. They're planning on turning the unit on tomorrow. If they do, they don't want them to spray or spray. I mean, if they're rolling, it's no big deal, but they're spraying, they don't want paint to get in the ductwork. So when they turn the unit on, so they'd have to wait until Wednesday, but they're just gonna roll. So I was talking to him, he got the email, Ryan from Corridor got the email as well regarding this. But after this, I was gonna call him and say, hey, how long is it gonna be for this paint process? Because everybody knows after the paint's done, you have to wait 14 days before it dries, and then you put water in the pool, and then chemical, all that type of stuff.
So the unit itself is actually almost ready to be operated?
Yes, yeah. That's what Mike told me from Garland, so he's gonna turn on tomorrow.
Fantastic.
And you can
So-
paint with the unit
Yes.
on?
Yes.
Not on. It can't be on.
You can't spray it with the unit.
Yeah. when it's-
Right, but I mean,
Roll.
after the
I'm
unit's
sorry.
on, you were able to paint.
Yes.
Yes.
It can be rolled on, sorry.
Yeah, if you roll, yes, yeah. But if they're spraying, they don't want the unit running. So they said if they're, Mike told me to hold off and they're gonna start painting or spraying, is don't do it while the unit's running, because it's gonna get sucked up into the ductwork, and that's not gonna be good.
No.
So the rolling is no big deal.
Paint fumes itself doesn't do
Yeah,
anything.
exactly, yeah, that's fine.
Do you know, are they planning on rolling? Are they planning on spraying? What's the,
I think they're gonna spray the ceiling.
okay, so,
Yeah, the ceiling itself, but the walls will probably roll.
so if we go through this, then it might be a couple more days then until the unit can get turned on
Yeah.
as soon as the spray, okay.
That's what I was told. Like I said, I called, as soon as I got off the phone, I went into, luckily I was pulling into City Hall when I called me, and then I told Brian. So I knew I was coming here today, so I was telling you guys tonight, so I can tell you guys that too. So.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Okay, motion by Poston, seconded by Welker.
Helm,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Cummins,
Yes.
Poston,
Yes.
Welker.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Adam. What was the next one, you two?
Sort of.
Yeah, I don't know, like, oh yeah, that's the next one, he's there for the next one. Third item under city business is discussion and possible action supporting the new Tipton Rotary project, including its grant application to the Community Foundation of Cedar County to replace the city parks upper shelter with the city's proposed contributions being the demolition of the current upper shelter and payment for the electrical work, currently estimated at $3,000 in the new shelter.
You want to take it? You want to take it?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. All right.
Yeah.
Well, Lori, let's see, when they had the touch a truck events at the park in the east side, east lot, Dave Hill came up and needed a key for that upper shelter by the adult diamond. And this, in case they needed for overflow or whatever, he came in and returned the key back to me. He said, hey, is there any other project you'd want to think of? I go, actually, anytime since COVID, we would have everyone in enclosed shelter days to reserve them, which that's cut down on vandalism 95%. So we're going to continue to do that. Everybody wants the lower one down by the tennis courts and stuff, but that's booked. They use the upper one because it's a lot smaller. We host baseball, softball tournaments. A lot of times we use that for a concession stand. Well, you can go in there, but you can only have enough room just to sell the food, but not really a place to sit. So I said, it'd be great if we could take care of that one, take it down and make it the same size as the one down below. So go, okay, well, I love Brett Getz. Brett Getz comes up and he starts measuring, doing everything else. And then Lori emails me and then contacts me, but he said, hey, is the community grant, is that what it is? I mean, I think
Community
that's what it is.
Foundation,
Deadline is Friday, this Friday. So she literally was emailing me on, I think it was Wednesday or Thursday, when I contacted Brian and Melissa, and then we met Friday morning, and she gave us this. I think it'd be great to have. A lot of the stuff that she read to us is gonna be insulated, it's gonna be, it's not just gonna be exposed, trusses and everything like that, it's all gonna be enclosed. Eventually, if we wanted to in the future, put heating in there. So it'd be nice to have, and it has a sidewalk would go to the parking lot. So, which would be nice, being a compliant 5-foot sidewalk all the way around it. So I think it'd be great. So, unless you guys have anything else.
No, I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't honestly
Unless
see
you
why
need-
you wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Ooh, that
Well,
was.
third.
All right, motion by Poston, seconded by Johnston.
Johnston,
Yes.
Cummins, Poston,
Yes.
Welker.
Yes.
Helm.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry. It was too close. Oh, did I twice? I did?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I must have-
Mayor.
I missed him twice, apparently. All right, so moving on to reports from the mayor, city manager, department heads.
I was going to pass these out. I wanted to give you an update on the tour of possibilities. And so there's the brochure. There's the brochures. We've passed out so far 150 of those. We've got the ads for the papers ready to go and the radio ad is ready to go. And I'm working with KCRG TV to see if they're going to do a story. So I think we've got everything ready to go. Do you have any questions? No? It looks pretty good. I think it's going to be hopefully a good day.
I hope so.
Okay, very good. Thanks.
Brad, Lisa? No? Okay. You have anything? No? You? No? Okay, the only thing that I will just mention is the homecoming football game. I worked the concession stands. It was very, very busy. Very,
Is there any video of that?
very busy. There's one photo.
Is there, right?
There's one photo on, I don't even know if it must be the school's Facebook page somewhere of me putting a ribeye sandwich together. I paid for $462 worth of popcorn.
Wow.
So that's a lot of popcorn for one game. So I have not heard back from the boosters about doing this for any of the rest of the winter sports or the, maybe the schedule for the winter sports isn't out yet. So more to come on that, but I think it was successful. People were appreciative and said thanks and, kind of yelled at me from the concessions window. So there was a couple of announcements that were made during the football game as well, that the free popcorn was sponsored by the city. So I think that was good PR for us. That's all I have.
And the firemen held a nice event.
Yes, the pancake breakfast was nice. We were there early, so it wasn't super busy yet, but did it? Was it really busy afterwards?
I think we,
The line was going long.
442.
Awesome.
Right about average, yep. That's good.
Awesome. Good.
The biscuits and gravy was amazing.
It was really good.
Your son was making the pancakes.
And they
The
ran
batter
out.
for him.
What?
He was making the batter for him back.
I know he was. I caught him before I left.
Yes, it was a good breakfast. We
No,
were
it was good.
we were there early. Yeah.
Appreciate everybody coming up.
Happy birthday to George today and Luke yesterday.
Yes.
And I'm sure I missed Jason's and Mike's at some point along the line, so happy birthday to you at some point along the line.
Half birthday, three quarters birthday, 4/4 birthday, whatever it is.
Very kind of you.
All right. Well, if there isn't any other business, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
But I've got cake.
Motion.
Second,
Okay. Motion by Johnston, seconded by Cummins.
Cummins,
yeah.
Hoshin,
Yes.
Welker,
Yes.
Helms,
Yes.
Johnston.
Yes.
All right.
Make a motion down there?
Meeting adjourned.
Make
Thanks.
a noise, not motions.